All right, so today we are going to talk about how to choose appliances. This is when you get to really start having fun with your kitchen and you get to start thinking about how you use your kitchen personally because we all use them differently. There are a ton of different appliances in a kitchen when you really think about it. Some are really obvious. Your stove, your range hood, your refrigerator. You think of these as appliances, but even down to like the microwave and the sink, think of those as appliances because there are different options and different options are going to give you a better or worse result depending on your choices at this stage. The stove is great for every meal. Every single kitchen needs a stove. It features in almost every recipe. I'm sure that you can't really imagine cooking dinner for even more than a day or two without a stove. When you're looking at stoves, one of the first things that's worth paying more for is a higher BTU. BTU translates to British thermal units, and it's a measure of heating ability. You're going to need a high BTU burner, and most stoves today do feature a high BTU burner on one of the front burners for your convenience. Another thing that's really nice in a stove is going to be variable control. I know that you might like to cook quickly, but not everything needs to be boiled to within an inch of its life. Sometimes you need to set something on a simmer for a few minutes. So you do need to have a low temperature ability just as much as a high temperature ability. Look for a stove that has that range so that you can cook a range of different foods. Durability is important as well. A well-made stove will last a long time and it's going to serve you well. Again, you have to use this appliance to make your food every day. For example, if you have a stove with grates on it, something like a cast iron grate would be worth paying a little extra for. Also, durable controls. Make sure that the knobs feel durable, that when you turn them, you can actually feel them acting and they don't seem like a lightweight knob. You might need to know what your existing outlet is. There's a couple of different types, and most stoves would require that you purchase a new plug, also called a pigtail, that would work with your existing outlet. You also need to know what the space is that you have for your stove. Some people have a freestanding stove, but some people actually have a cooktop or a stove separate from their oven. What format do you plan on using? What size of stove will fit in your space? Make sure that your new stove will not only fit in your kitchen, but I can speak from personal experience, make sure it also fits through your doorway. We may or may not have almost wedged a stove in one of my doorways. Another appliance that everybody needs in their kitchen is the oven. It really is the original appliance. It's basically an updated fireplace or hearth. There's a couple of features that I would really recommend looking for. Some families, it's very much worth paying extra for a double oven, or you can actually get some that convert from a single oven to a double oven. A second oven can be very useful for a different setting. Maybe you have one food that needs to cook at 350 and one food that needs to cook at 450. But also, if you entertain more, you might actually need that second oven just as another place to cook. We've all had the Thanksgiving dinner where the turkey was going in the oven and we had about 6 other dishes that needed to go in, and that's a lot more stress than we all need in our lives. Convection is a very handy feature. Time is everything in today's world. You always feel like you don't have time to cook dinner. Great news. Convection reduces your cooking time by circulating the air around your food. Delayed start is very nice for the same reason. It's truly a lifesaver. You can have your casserole in the oven and set it to start before you even get home from work so that when you get home, maybe dinner's already done. Do you prefer digital or knob controls? I used to have knob controls on my oven. It wasn't bad, but now that I have a really nice digital oven, I've found that personally I prefer digital controls. Also, what size of pans or dishes do you use? I once had an oven that was too small for most modern sheet trays. It's very difficult to bake cookies when you can't fit a sheet tray. So I actually had to go get sheet trays from the dollar store because they were the only ones that fit in the oven. What format of oven do you want? Some people prefer wall ovens, and again, some people might actually like their oven combined with a stove. So you need to think about where you're going to put the oven in your kitchen. Range hoods are vital. You have to vent out the odors and the vapors to keep your living area healthy. A higher amount of CFMs, or cubic feet per minute, is going to to provide a better ventilation, you need to plan on at least 400 CFMs for the average 4-burner stove. Style-wise, some range hoods can be a focal point, so you could do a beautiful built-in range hood that has cabinetry around it, or you could do a stainless steel range hood with a tall chimney to really draw the eye up. But consider that if you're going to have a range hood that is a part of the style of your kitchen, you're going to want it to look nice. Another thing worth paying for is low sones, and sones are the measurement of how loud an appliance or an item is. While you're cooking, there's nothing more frustrating than when you've got the range hood running and someone from the next room is trying to have a conversation with you and you have to tell them multiple times, "I cannot hear you." It's really nice to have a quieter range hood that can be run without disturbing the party. Some you have to run ductwork up through your attic. Some you don't have to run ductwork. You need to know how you plan on venting your range hood. Where's it going to go? It has to suck air in and it has to put it somewhere. Again, you also need to know if your range hood is going to be one that is purely functional or if you're going to kind of display it and make it a part of your kitchen design. If you need multiple types of lights, consider that in your purchases. You might actually really like one that comes with a night light, for example, if you have an elderly person or a very young person in your house that needs to see in the evenings. Refrigerators, everybody's favorite appliance to shop for. In a refrigerator, paying more for more storage areas is always really nice. More drawers, more shelves. You'll also be really happy for the extra space when Thanksgiving might roll around and you need to fit the 20-pound turkey and the cake for dessert and who knows what else in your refrigerator. Energy savings are huge. Your fridge sucks up a ton of your home's electrical bill every single month. Paying more for an energy efficient fridge will save you so much money in the long run. A double compressor is something that I actually just recently learned about. Refrigerators come with 1 or 2 compressors. 2 compressors do help keep food fresher longer. Make sure that you don't waste your money on groceries by paying for a refrigerator that's going to function just a little bit better. What type of food do you typically buy? Depending on your day-to-day diet, you may need more or less room for different foods. A vegetarian, for example, would need way more room for fruits and vegetables than is normally provided in a modern-day fridge. Maybe you like to eat paleo. Where are you going to keep all of the meat that you eat? Where are you going to keep the lettuce that you eat because you have a salad every day? Maybe you entertain a lot. If you do, you're going to appreciate a fridge that has versatile racks that you can move and change so that your refrigerator can actually change with you. And fun fact, there is no standard size for a refrigerator. Before you go appliance shopping, you need to know what size fridge you can actually fit in your kitchen. Consider not only its width and its height, but its depth. They make refrigerators with different depths. Not only when they're closed, for example, you can have a standard depth or a countertop depth, but you also need to consider when the door is open. If you don't have a lot of room in your walkway, it would be worth it to get a French door refrigerator or a side-by-side that the doors are narrower than it would be to get a standard fridge that the door is a lot wider when it's open, and that might block the walkway. Dishwashers, truly a blessing. I will be 100% honest. I may or may not have bought our recent house for the dishwasher. It is a luxury that I would 100% recommend. When you're purchasing a dishwasher, there's a couple of different things that are kind of worth it. Wash tubs come in plastic or stainless, but the stainless is less likely to stain and it's a little bit less damage prone. So your dishwasher will look nicer on the inside as well as it may actually last longer. You can also buy dishwashers with variable heights in their racks. That's something that you should consider and maybe get a dishwasher that you can change around that racking. A quick rinse function I also highly recommend, especially if you have a smaller family. A quick rinse option will allow you to run a short rinse cycle and wait on the full wash cycle, which ultimately will save you not only electricity, but also water. When do you run the dishwasher? A lot of people turn their dishwasher on before they leave for work or right when they're going to bed. If you're not going to be around to hear it, a louder dishwasher might not matter as much and you can save some money and maybe have a little louder dishwasher. Again, what do you want to run in your dishwasher? If, for example, I would give anything for a dishwasher with a separate little compartment that I can put chef's knives or spatulas, long spoons that would keep them organized rather than just putting them underneath the drinking cups. Finally, what type of dishes do you do? You might actually need a heavy-duty cycle, or maybe you need a delicate cycle. Just like your clothes washer, not everything in your dishwasher is the same. A microwave is a quick and convenient appliance that I think most of us would consider just as necessary as our oven or our stove. A large capacity microwave would allow you to cook larger food. A large capacity microwave allows you to cook larger food. There is very little that frustrates me more than needing to reheat something, but it doesn't fit in the microwave. Quick controls are really nice for a modern family. You can click a button that says defrost or popcorn or reheat, and it will select a cycle which is commonly used for that. My particular favorite is actually the defrost cycle for meat. If I'm making dinner that night and I forgot to thaw my meat out, I really can't cook it when it's frozen, but I also don't have hours to wait for it to thaw. Just like in an oven, a microwave could have a convection setting. This again decreases your cook time and makes your reheating faster and more convenient for modern life. You need to consider if kids are going to use your microwave. If they are, you really shouldn't get one that goes over your stove. You might want to get a small countertop unit, or they actually make units that fit within your cabinetry that you could put at a lower height so that your kids don't have to get you to reheat something. How much space do you have in your kitchen? I once lived in a house that we measured 6 square feet of counter space. So when I was considering my microwave, I bought the smallest microwave I could possibly find. You also should consider how often you use the microwave. If you're going to use the microwave frequently, you might actually want to pay a little bit more for a sturdier unit that's going to last you longer. The sink is the soul of a kitchen. I want you to one day try not to use your kitchen sink, and I guarantee you, you're going to appreciate it more after that. Extra depth is something that I personally think is highly worth paying for. I get so frustrated when a large pot is in the sink and I can barely wash anything because the pot takes up the whole sink. Hardier materials that are less likely to be damaged are pretty important. My personal favorite are composite sinks, but every sink material is going to have its strengths and weaknesses. Some of them you shouldn't drop heavy pots in. Some of them can actually be scratched. So you need to consider how you use your sink and what you can bend on in your materials. Sections in a sink are one of those make or break points for most people. Some people really like just one large sink section. Some people really like 2 or maybe even 3 sections. It can be a difficult sticking point. Just make sure that you get a sink that has the configuration that you prefer. I prefer 2 sink sections because I've always done my dishes by hand, but now that I have a dishwasher, I don't think I would have a problem with 1 sink section. What accessories do you want? Do you want to put a soap dispenser or maybe a sink sprayer in there? If so, just make sure to tell the associate that so that you can get a sink with the right number of holes in it. You also need to consider if you want the sink to be part of your design. We all have seen the rise of the apron sink lately. You can get a sink that looks like just about anything, and if you want it to blend in, you're going to want to make sure to get one that blends in. But if you want it to stand out, you can make a sink a beautiful part of your kitchen design, and you should consider it as part of the design if you're going to see it, obviously. One thing I want to note before I let you go today is that you need to be ready to find a good appliance for you and be ready for maybe a delay. Don't buy an appliance just because you could get it that day. I promise you it will be worth the wait. This is something you're going to use, maybe for decades. Make sure that you give yourself the time to get something that you're going to like for decades and not just deal with. I hope that clears up some of your questions today on choosing appliances for your kitchen, and I hope that as you're designing your kitchen, this will help you think about really how you use it and how your appliances need to work with you and be beautiful as well as functional.